Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited. Y'all make me feel so good. I appreciate it. Okay, everybody. I'm trying colors now, so we're not going to be in all black. I'm just going to try colors today and see how this work out for us. We have a great show in store for everybody, and we're going to have Frank and Joe of the Frank and Joe Show. They're a public talk. Right? I don't know whether they're satire, but they're really serious, or just wonderful to listen to. But either way, they're here. And then we got Evan Lee, and we have Steaven Misher. He's a poet and author, and just an all-around smooth cat. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be really good with the Frank and Joe Show. All my guests are great, but I'm going to give my disclaimer now to everybody in the room. They have their own show. So that's my disclaimer. So we're going to enjoy that and more when your Sweet Danni J returns. Our next guest is a poet. He's an author, and he's a speaker, and I'll give him all kinds of titles, y'all, but y'all will just love them all the same when you meet him, everybody. Sweet lovies, please give a sweet welcome to Mr. Steaven Misher. I will ruin some names, sweet darling. Thank you so much for being here. If I get up,
Thank you for having me.
If I get up, they'll have to paint me back down. Have a seat for me. Oh, you look great. Y'all, doesn't he look fabulous? I love a man in a bow tie. Love a man in a bow tie. Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Now, you have been a poet for how many years?
About 25 years.
25 years. Oh, my gosh. All these babies up here. All these babies. So So you're 27 now.
Oh, bless you. Bless you, and for 5 generations.
Yeah. Now, did I say your name right, Steaven Misher?
You did.
I did. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, because for the people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I grew up in Albany, Georgia. Well, I was born in Albany, Georgia. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and Virginia and Maryland. And I graduated high school in Decatur, Georgia. And I've always kind of followed the beat to my own drum in my family. And so I decided to go into the military when I graduated. high school, and then after that I decided to go to college, and graduated from Morehouse College. I got my bachelor's from Morehouse College, and I got my master's in African American Studies from Clark, Atlanta, and then I got another master's in education from Phoenix, and then I decided to become a teacher.
Yay!
And I taught in Atlanta, and then I taught in Clayton County, and then I decided to take off and become a correction officer, and I worked in the prison for which, if you think about it, is really not that much of a difference. Just,
But now you get permission to beat people and everything.
So, and then what happened was I met two of my students that I used to teach in the prison, and they said that, Mr. Misher, we remember when you were a teacher, and you were a pretty good teacher, you know, and sometimes I think God talks to us. He talks to us through other people. And so that was when I decided to heed what the words, and I decided to go back into teaching. And so now I've been teaching for about, going on, this will be my 4th year back.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That is exciting. I'm appreciative. First of all, thank you for your service to our country. I appreciate you for our service to our country, and thank you for your service to our kids. What grades do you teach? Yes, it's a good thing. What grades do you teach?
Well, I teach sociology, which is an elective.
Oh.
I had never heard of sociology in high school before it became a high school. And so as a result, I teach 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Anybody can take it.
Now, I took sociology right there with psychology when I was in college.
Right.
Yesterday, y'all. Yesterday.
Yeah.
And so
Me too.
You too. Tell us about sociology. What is that? What is that the study of?
Well, the definition of it is the study of man and the environment. More specifically, though, it's just talking about how we get along with each other. The things that we do right, things that we don't work on. As a matter of fact, in my class yesterday, we were talking about ethnicity and the difference between prejudice and discrimination. And we really had a great conversation with that. And it's always curious to hear students, young people's ideas about what it means. And, of course, everyone says that they're not. And everyone has these opinions about what it means. But we have great conversations. I really just enjoy throwing the subject out there. I enjoy being like Sweet Danni J and just being a host and just letting the class just take over.
That is, I mean, now, thank you. Now, one of the things that we do, learning about each other, I guess, being in all your experience, is that what motivated you to write your poetry?
It's funny you say that because it was just out of the blue. It was a coincidence. I was in something called study hall. Now, at that time, if you were a 12th grader and you did not have a job, bing.
Wow.
So you had to sit in something called study hall. You just sit. You know, there's not a grade for it. You just sit and watch the teacher teaching everybody else. So there I was, and suddenly I needed a pen. I felt like I had to start writing. So I wrote, waves of the Pacific, dark and deep. Waves of the Pacific come rock me to sleep. As I look further, I see birds that fly. As I look further, I see a deep blue sky. But as I look further, I see death and dying. I see men beaten and mothers crying. And as the crests of the waves come tumbling within, I see a world that is plowed from sin. And that was the first poem I ever wrote.
Yeah. Waves of the Pacific.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I just kept writing. And what made me convince me that maybe there was something to it was the effect that I noticed that it was having on other people. Like, for example, it was Easter, being a tomorrow Easter. And I was in a church in Alabama.
All things happen in a church in Alabama. All good things.
I was in a church in Alabama, and I came up and recited a poem called "In the Meantime." We pray through nights of pouring rain, but we laugh in days of sunshine. And when it gets hard to face the pain, we just smile in the meantime. We work so hard throughout the day, but debts fall further behind. But faith in God will make a way, so we smile in the meantime. And I went through the whole poem. And after I sat down, a young lady came up. I had never seen her before. Then I had never met her before. She came up and she was crying. She was like, you just don't know How much that pork?
I'm sorry, I cannot. But you can't do the you can't do the on one with the you can't do that. I can't concentrate. I'm sorry.
I promise you. I promise you, this is exactly how it happened. And it's I mean, I've gone into barbershops, nothing but men, nothing but grown men. And I remember one time I recited a poem called Players in the Game. If it is your wish to be at the center of the greatest team of glory and fame, to be remembered as a true winner, give back to all the players in the game. And if the young children today are all about self, lost in darkness of ignorance and shame, rather than leaving it to somebody else, give back to all the players in the game. And I remember after I recited that, I saw guys in the, I'm not going to go through it, but they were just...
Okay, because if you started going again, it's going to... We're going to find out more. I want to find out, because what I find more inspiring is the fact that some of these deep poems that you wrote were happening things that you were thinking when you were in high school. So everybody, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with Mr. Steaven Misher when the Sweet Danni J. So excited. I'm sitting here, everybody, my sweet lovies, I'm sitting here with Mr. Steaven Misher. He's an author and a poet. Now, you were doing some of your poems that you were reciting some of your poems that you had written when you were younger, when you were in high school, and I guess in your younger days. What amazes me is that you were having these deep thoughts as a young person. Do you find that to be one of your most interesting things as you go through teaching?
Well, Danny, I found that, and many of the open mics I've done, I found that many poets tend to be introspective, tend to be to the point where we have to step back from the world and just kind of look at things. And I think, in reference to your question, I just think that that's how I process the world. I process things poetically. And there's oftentimes, anyone could be saying something. Anybody could be saying something. And I just say, oh, my God, man, I'll say that again. Oh, my God, I got the right, that's a great title for a poem. I remember one day, this was about 2 weeks ago, a student said, man, I'm going to tell you what, man, you can say whatever you want to, but I ain't walking on my own gravestone. And I was like, what? Oh, walking on my own gravestone. Oh, my God. That's just how it happens. It just hit.
Wow. And do you find yourself speaking in prose and poems when you talk to people like every third sentence is like every third is like a stanza, like it's gonna rhyme?
Well,
do people be like, "No, don't ask him, because like a poem's gonna come out"?
Yeah, it can be like that. It certainly can. I guess to someone listening, it is.
It's your passion. Now tell us about your book.
Heaven Has Windows is my third book. And this book is a combination of stuff that I've written previously, but there's also some analysis of things that's going on today. As a matter of fact, I wrote 2 poems about our 45th president. One is called Checkmate, and the other one is called January Sadness. And it's sort of a combination of the past, and there's also a combination of the present. But I do believe that this is what is my best work. I do believe
I'm
that.
excited. Well, we're going to have you share some of your best work. Now, if people want to find you, how do they find you?
My website is www.SteavenMisher.com.
You're going to have to spell Steven, because that's how I got lost, and I think I ended up at a porn site or something. So spell your name for everybody for me.
Steaven. My mother decided to spell Steven with an A. I say that it's spelled like heaven.
Steaven or Steaven?
Yes.
Steaven. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're going to go with that.
And my last name is Misher. And I tell people all the time that if you find somebody on this planet named Steaven Misher that spells their name like that, you need to play the lottery, because it is your lucky day. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you for coming and joining
Thank
us
you for having
today.
me.
All right, everybody. When we come back, we're going to get some of Mr. Steaven Misher's poetry. What's the name of your poem that you're going to do 2 or 1?
I do too.
Yes, he's going to do 2.
Yeah.
That's how I talk people into stuff. That's how I also steal pens. You going to give me this pen or you want it back? That's how I do everything.
Just a little bit about this first poem.
Okay.
I decided to recite it in different languages. So while I'll be reciting it in English, my own voice behind me will be saying it in French, Spanish, Swahili, and Arabic. This poem, Eagles Fly Alone.
I'm going to try to concentrate on the English, but I'm going to be like, that's why. I think I'm going to get it with me, but I'm just like, God, I'm excited. I can't wait. Y'all don't want to move. Y'all want to be right here when the Sweet Danni J show returns. Oh, my God, Swahili. So who did you get?